Hey, brothers and sisters, I go by the alias of Lord Knows. Many of you know me as Zay. I'm doing this video about wordplay because words are spells and how words affect our subconscious and how they affect the way we think and how we define things, what can manifest our actions and develop a certain mentality we have. Now, I'm going to go right into it. Family, I'm gonna get right to it. I went on online etymology dictionary. I put in the word grammar because our language, which we speak, and what affects our mentality comes from grammar, our language, linguistics. It defines things, so it shapes our mentality. After the word grammar, the sense of evolution is the characteristics of the Dark Ages, learning in general knowledge peculiar to the learned classes, which included astrology and magic, hence the secondary meaning of occult knowledge. I'm going to stop it right there. Very crucial. Occult knowledge and astrology is tied together. It's what everything, including religion, how we think, what's affect us, certain energies or frequencies, all that has to do with that. Magic, because words are spells. Words are also swords, because you put the S in front of the word words, you get swords. With that being said, with swords, you can tear somebody apart because of the psychological game you can run to shape mentalities to control people, to lure them. Once you control their thinking, you control their manifestation on a probability scale. And I'm going to go into it a little deeper. So I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see visually what I'm trying to explain. First, you have to be clear that astrology is the source of all this. As you can see on the diagram, the picture, Moon's Day, Mars Day, Mercury Day, Jupiter Day, Venus Day, Saturday, Saturn's Day, and Sunday self-explanatory. Then pay attention to the symbols that you see. Look at Thursday for fourth day like the number 4, Saturn like the number 5, and Moon representing silver, and so on and so forth. I'm going to explain that in a second. What I'm going to try to do is explain this. Now, Thursday is the 4th day. So this crescent represents the moon. Then you have the 4. This is your Thursday, or that can be Jupiter. So a lot of time the crescent moon represents like horns and stuff like that, like bull horns and things like that of that nature. Now your Saturn, you have this cross at the top. You have something like it looks like a number 5. Excuse me, well if I butchered the, but I could have did better. But anyway, this is the concept. Now it makes sense that that Thursday is 4, because you say, okay, Thursday is the 4th day, but why do we get this number 5 with this Saturn here? Why do we get this number 5? Well, I'm going to let you see. I'm going to pull it up so you guys can understand, and I can try to make it make sense for you guys. Okay, now I'm going to try to make this make sense for you. So I'm going to scroll it slow in case some of you guys want to read about this Jupiter and Saturn relationship. And this has a lot to do with the creation of Moses. Like I said, the crescent moon represents bull horns and stuff like that. And I'm just going to go down in case y'all want to pause this and going back reading this, because it's a lot of informal stuff dealing with unions, because a lot of times the planets are personified that represent people, popularity through Greek mythology, but the Greeks got it from the ancient Egyptians, which is ancient Kemet. Now, let me try to get to the point here so I can make it make sense. And basically, it's saying that, as I scroll up and down, I'm going to read this part to you real quickly, because I don't want this video to be too long. The normal human operates along the massive vibration of the planet, whose main function is to provide a field of the uttermost focalization of spiritual energies. For this is the social consciousness is necessary, because society with particularized, institutionalized cultures and its rationalistic languages required for clear thinking alone can provide a human person with all the needs of mind and becoming focused expression of the universal mind of God. Saturn assists Jupiter, steady conditions of the great spiritual experiment of humanity, the deity time, the seas To it that the original impulse of the experiment is never forgotten. Thus the conservatism, his clock-mindedness, his intents on accuracy and integrity. But Saturn does more. As it isolates the individual for within the social mass, Saturn demands that the individual person strictly and purely of what she is by birthright. The symbol for that planet is like the number 5 because man, its individual, is 5-pointed star, a pentagram. As such, he emerges form the mass vibration humanity, the for which an immense potentially for growth. And I'll stop there with Saturn, and we can go on by Jupiter. And like I said, you can pause some of this stuff as I scroll along, but they do have a relationship and it is deep. Now let me explain deeper. Basically, I'm going to touch on Saturn because a lot of the hidden cults are derived off Saturn. Saturn has a lot to do. It's a black planet, and basically you get the number 5 because it represents man. And what it's saying is like this. It's like this here is like a pentagram. And numerology is very important when dealing with languages, alphabets, which is alpha, beta, because it has a lot to do with how we speak and how we think, and again, how we define stuff. And so this would be, man, and I guess if I put this halo up here, this would be his head. But as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. And if I much as put a halo on top of here, a circle, which represents the sun, this alone is a symbol. And this is power. This symbol alone is power. And let me pause it while I go into that just to give you a concept of how all this stuff works. The symbol of the circle can be the sun. But when we always think of God and stuff, we always think of man. That's Greek mythology. By nature, this circle is a woman. It is a goddess because all the creation comes out of this hole. But now we put as much as a phallus, which is this part of the head. That is powerful. That's your on and off switch. That creates life. That's 1 and 0. And just off of 1 and 0, you get data. When man, which is this 1, and this female gets together, that's a date. That's data. So you can get the word data. Because when we go out together, we date each other. And this is why I'm making this. And you can even make alphabets and data. I give an example. If I wanted to make a lowercase a in data, okay. Now I'm an electronic engineer, so I had to study this stuff and learn this stuff. Yeah, I would put 2 1s, 1, 2, I believe it's 4 zeros, and you guys can research me if I'm wrong. And that would be the letter A. And capital A would be similar. It'd be 0, 1, and I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and 1. And we can go B, C, D, lowercase capital, but this is your data. This is power, date, powerful. And I'm going to hold it right there because I want to pull up a pic to give a better picture of why this subliminal pentagram is why the Saturn is 5. And there you have it. This is the image of why you get Saturn is the symbolic number 5. And again, the minerals are represented on the periodic table and chart and stuff like that. I want to touch on the moon, which the moon is very crucial because we're all made of water, and the moon controls the flow of water, high tide, low tide, birth. The moon affects all of that. All these planets and things represent frequency, but the moon represents Monday, or anything that's mon or min represents the moon. Even with astrology, the moon is a minute, the sun is an hour, and I'm going to break this down for you. Is a minute, and Mercury is a second. The sun, which is Horus or hour, which you see how close in words Horus and hour has ties. In Latin language of Spanish is hora. So you see how the ties symbolically. And the moon is a minute. The moon would always be the the longhand. It ticks minute, 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 minute. Decimals, which is deacon, minister, moon, and the hours, the sun, the shorthand, and the little seconds that tick tick along. That's Mercury, because that's how they move in what we call the solar system. Everything is a cycle. The moon, that's female. Anything dealing with that circle is always going to be female. Now, anything like Monday, that's moon's day. Or anything mon or men, it's dealing with the moon. Even if it's money. Money is dealt back in old times silver, which is the moon. You have the two pillars. They used to call Jaquez and Boaz, and it has a little banner where it makes like a dollar sign. That's further research. Or you can say Isis, the goddess Isis herself is female, so you can always put it like this also. You got two eyes, SS. And the same thing is Genesis. All this is female, and that's dealing with the moon. Certain things dealing with the moon that affects the like menstruation. Even the MEN, let me put men here. It's still men. Men and men pronounced the same. Don't get caught up on spelling, because all this is subconscious type stuff. Or, even if I said females might have problems, they might have to use monostat, whatever, 7, whatever. Or dealing with moon is lunar. So don't slip on these Latin terms, these Greek terms, moon, mon, men, lunar, loony, because the moon is a certain way, you act crazy, so you're loony, or you can be moody, all types of other stuff. All this is influence and effect. They all tie in together. All these words, they play on your subconscious. They affect the way you think and how you define things. Menstruation.
Menstruation, the process in a woman of discharging blood and other materials from the lining of the uterus at intervals of about 1 lunar month from puberty until menopause, except during pregnancy.
Now, the word menopause, you get what I'm saying, and lunar month, and even in Spanish, Monday is what? If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I might spell it wrong, lunes. And you see, and that's how all this stuff ties in together. Linguistics. Back to lunes, I grew up off 90s hip-hop, so I want to be credible and authentic as possible on this video. So that's lunes, that's Monday. Now going back to men's and mons, I'm going to think of what you call a monetary unit. Now what this is cent. Oops, I'm sorry, let me fix that. Okay, now a cent is this. Let's put that crescent. Okay, which is that symbol, and what we call a minuscule letter. See, underline that there. The cent is brass because